Microsoft 365 has some tremendous functionality in place to allow you to collaborate with users outside your own organization. You can add external users, which are business users from other Microsoft 365 domains, and also invite guests via email address. If you are allowing either or both of those features, the issue you face, you can't tell very easily what external user or guest has access to what, potentially exposing you to the risk of them gaining access to something they're not supposed to. AvePoint Insights makes it very easy to not only see what external users are active, but also what they have access to, including sensitive content. To see that, log on to AvePoint Online Services, and on the homepage, locate and click Insights for Microsoft 365. In Insights, when we land on the dashboard, we can see right here in the first section, External Users 2. Now please note, for Insights, external users counts as both formal external users in Microsoft 365 and guests. If I scroll down, I can see under Access what is shared with who, and it looks like we've got 12 sensitive items that are available to external users. And to the right of that in particular, it tells me what external users are at the highest risk. Here I can hover over this person's name and I can see that it's a Gmail address, which tells me visually that that's going to be a guest. That guest has access to 12 sensitive items. But remember, there are 2 external users here. I can either go right into View External Users to see who they are, or if we scroll down a little bit further, we can also try to get some information from our summary section. Here we can see 6 teams in our demo tenant, and 1 team has a guest user. In SharePoint, we have 12 site collections, and 1 site collection has an external user. Now keep in mind, seeing these here does not immediately mean something is wrong. It means you have external users and guests available to your business users. If we scroll back up a little bit though, it may be a concern that those external users have access to some kind of sensitive data. So I'm going to click View All External Users to follow up on this. You'll note that that takes us off of the dashboard over to our exposure reports and under external users. Here I can see that that guest has access to 12 sensitive items, and it looks like we've got an external user based on another Microsoft domain, and they don't have access given directly to anything. So based on what I'm seeing here, I definitely want to take a look at this guest first. So I'm going to click on his name, and we drill down a little bit further into the access report. And here we can see that he's been given access to the communication site. It is a SharePoint site, and if I click on that, we drill down a little bit further, and we can see all of the items in that site. The icons here identify the type of workspace, also the object type, typically a file, and it will tell you if that file has also been shared with unique permissions. The sensitivity level over to the right, remember, is not exactly the same thing as risk. Risk is a combination of sensitivity and exposure. So what this is doing is it's looking at the individual file. It's saying the file contains sensitive information that we judge as medium level sensitivity based on our different sensitivity rules. It's still potentially concerning, of course, though, that that person has had this directly shared with them. If I go back to external users, we can see the other one that we have in here, Jack Smithson, shows 0 sensitive file access. Please note though, that that is direct permission. That means that something has been shared with Jack, or he's been given permission, say, directly to a SharePoint site, just like this other user has. That does not mean though, that Jack does not have access to anything indirectly. How could that happen? Well, we can take a look by clicking on Jack, and we can see no issues. But notice that's because we're on the Known Risk tab up at the top. If I click on Possible Risk, we can see that Jack has actually been added to a team. There are 18 members in that team, which may pose some type of exposure based on a large number of users. But also, that team contains 1 sensitive file. So that's what it means by direct and indirect. directly shared or given direct permissions will show up on the Known Risk tab. Indirect could be things like added to a team, and there's one file that's come up sensitive in the SharePoint site underneath that team. If I click on that, we can drill down to the project team site. And if I click there, I can see the content in that particular team site that we know is being stored in SharePoint. These are the files in our demo environment for that team. And again, one of them is coming up as sensitive. Now, if you're wondering if there's anything you can do about it directly here, there is. If I check that file, I can view details, which will give me a pane over here on the right-hand side that really just provides additional information and metadata around the file itself. I can view the permissions, and I can also view the activities. Let's start with activities. This opens a separate tab to show me if anyone has done anything with that file recently. Has anyone shared it, as an example? We see that there's nothing in here, so that's good. If I view the permissions, we can see all the permissions assigned to that file. Now we'll remember that that person's name is Jack Smithson. When we come over here, do I see Jack Smithson in the list? I don't, because Jack is getting permission through the team. If we go into any of these groups, he's probably in the members group. Then when we scroll down, again, will we see him in here? Well, not necessarily, because the way that it works is if he's inheriting it through the security group, his name won't show up either. Essentially what you should do at this point is not worry about removing the permission directly, not worry about doing that here in this particular tool, because remember, how is Jack getting it? He's getting it because he's been added to the team. And realistically, we should simply, if we're concerned about this, go remove Jack from the team. But of course, the risk might not be that Jack is collaborating with our internal users. The risk might be that that document is actually part of what the team is working on. So maybe it's not about removing Jack's permissions, it's about going and removing that file. So what we're talking about is really gaining insight into what's going on within your environment. Remember, insights lead to good decisions. And now that I've seen that I have a few external users, I can follow up, I can examine what they have access to, and if necessary, I can go and make a decision that maybe changes who they're working with, what they can access, what permissions they have. Thanks for watching this short video on reviewing external users through AvePoint Insights.